Everyone repeats the same advice about rejection. It's all in your head. Just get over it. Half of that is true. The in your head part is exactly right. The get over it part is where they lose the plot. Because what happens in your head during rejection isn't imagination. It's closer to an injury. A text left unread for 3 days. A job offer that quietly goes to someone else. A friend group photo you weren't tagged in. None of it leaves a mark anyone can see. And yet the ache feels disproportionate, almost embarrassing to admit out loud. You tell yourself it's silly to feel this bad over something so small. But somewhere beneath the conscious thought, your brain disagrees completely. Because rejection doesn't just feel like pain. For a few critical seconds, your brain processes it exactly like pain. By the end of this video, you'll know the 4 psychological patterns behind why rejection cuts as deep as it does. The first was calibrated on a playground, long before you had words to explain it. The second is a discovery that surprised the very researchers who found it. The third is something a screen made worse, and you've probably felt it this week. And the fourth is the oldest reason of all. Older than language, older than screens, older than heartbreak itself. Because sometimes the sting of being left out is your body doing exactly the job it evolved to do. 2 captains are picking teams. Names get called one by one, faster kids first, then the rest. A 9-year-old boy watches the circle of remaining children shrink and shrink until he's the only one left, standing alone while 2 captains argue over who is to take him. Nothing touched him. No one hit him. No one even said anything cruel. And still something in his chest folded in on itself. Psychologist Geraldine Downey has spent decades studying what she calls rejection sensitivity, the tendency some people develop to anxiously expect, quickly perceive, and intensely react to rejection. Her research suggests this sensitivity often gets calibrated in exactly these kinds of ordinary childhood moments. Not one dramatic betrayal, a slow accumulation of small exclusions. The last one picked, the uninvited birthday, the lunch table with no open seat. Each moment, small on its own, teaches a developing brain the same quiet lesson. Exclusion is dangerous. Watch for it. It can happen again. Years later, that same boy is a grown man. A friend takes hours to reply to a text, and his stomach tightens before his mind can explain why. He isn't overreacting to the delay. He's reacting to a decades-old alarm, still scanning for the shape of that shrinking circle. If a small social silence has ever hit you far harder than it logically should, type "still feels the same" in the comments. But childhood only explains where the alarm was calibrated. To understand why it rings so loudly, we have to look inside the brain during the moment itself. In 2010, psychologist C. Nathan DeWall ran a study that sounded almost absurd on paper. He had participants take a common over-the-counter painkiller daily for 3 weeks, then measured how much emotional pain they reported from ordinary social rejection. The results startled the research team. People taking the painkiller reported significantly less hurt from social exclusion than those taking a placebo. A pill designed for headaches and sore muscles was quietly dulling the sting of being left out. Follow-up brain scans found something even stranger. The same painkiller reduced activity in brain regions that activate during both physical injury and social rejection. Not similar regions, the same ones, which suggests something psychology hadn't fully appreciated before this study. Social pain and physical pain may run through overlapping circuitry in the brain. Evolution, it turns out, may not have built a separate system for heartbreak. It repurposed the one already responsible for keeping the body safe from harm. So when you say a rejection hurt, you may be speaking with far less metaphor than you think. Your brain isn't exaggerating, it's using the only alarm it has for the only kind of threat it currently recognizes. And the third reason, you very likely felt already, maybe within the last few days. Rejection used to happen mostly in person, with context attached. A raised eyebrow, a tone of voice, a full conversation, with a beginning and an end. Now much of it happens inside a small glowing rectangle in your hand, with almost no context at all. A message marked read, with no reply for hours. 3 dots that appear, then disappear without a single word arriving. A story posted, watched, and never once reacted to by the one person you were hoping would. Research on ambiguity and social pain points to something important. Uncertain rejection often hurts more than clear rejection. When someone says plainly, "I don't want to talk to you," painful as it is, the brain can process it and move on. Silence offers no such closure. Was it something you said? Are they busy? Are they done with you completely? Unable to close the loop, the alarm just stays on. Digital communication multiplies these unresolved moments by the hundreds, every single week. The average person today may process more small, ambiguous social threats before lunch than earlier generations experienced in an entire month. That doesn't make you more fragile than previous generations. It means an ancient alarm system is firing inside an environment it was never built to handle. Which brings us to the fourth reason, the oldest one of all, and the one that finally explains why this system exists in the first place. To understand this last reason, travel back long before phones, before cities, before written history. Early humans didn't survive as isolated individuals. They survived in small, interdependent groups, where being cast out often meant losing access to food, protection, and safety. In that world, social exclusion wasn't an inconvenience. It could be a death sentence. Evolutionary psychologists describe something called the smoke detector principle. A smoke detector is built to go off far more often than there's an actual fire, because a false alarm costs almost nothing, while missing a real fire costs everything. Natural selection, researchers argue, built the human threat detection system on the exact same logic. Better to trigger pain over 100 harmless social moments than risk missing the one exclusion that could have threatened survival. That's why the sting of an unread message can feel wildly disproportionate to its actual stakes. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's running an ancient, oversensitive alarm tuned for a world where being left out could genuinely cost you everything. The boy standing alone as teams were picked wasn't overreacting to a schoolyard game. He was feeling the same alarm his ancestors felt when a group threatened to leave them behind at the edge of a dangerous world. That doesn't shrink the pain, but it changes what the pain means. Rejection doesn't hurt because something is wrong with you. It hurts because you're carrying a survival system built by millions of years of humans who needed each other to make it through the night. The system isn't broken. It's ancient, sensitive, and still doing exactly its job. Feeling this much over something so small isn't weakness. It's evidence you're wired in your oldest circuitry for connection. The pain is simply the cost of being built for belonging in the first place. So the next time a rejection lands harder than it logically should, don't rush to talk yourself out of it. Let the alarm ring for a moment. It isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof your body still remembers exactly how much it needs other people. If this explained a pain you've never quite known how to name, comment "It's not weakness" below. And if you want to understand what other feelings your ancient brain is still quietly protecting you from, the next video on your screen goes even deeper.